Hi, welcome back to another video. So as you would have seen from the title and the thumbnail, today we are going to be reading romance books for Valentine's Day. I love doing this video because I mainly read romance anyway and it's like the perfect time to read romances during Valentine's Day, right? To feel the love in the air and everything. So yeah, I currently have planned for 5 books, but that list of books might change, decrease, increase, I don't know, depending on my mood, because I feel like I want to be more liberal with DNFing my books if I'm not enjoying them. So yeah, the aim is to have 5 read books in this video. So okay, I've finished my first book. I have 3 physical books here with me and 2 digital, and I'm just gonna run through the options that I have, and then I'm gonna go through the book that I just finished just recently. So digital books first. I have The Rule Book by Sarah Adams, and then Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter. And then normally I read only contemporary romances, but I thought it might be a little bit too repetitive, so I decided to add in a bit of historical romance as well, and also like a bit of a fantasy romance. Yes. Oh, it's a historical fantasy romance. So I have The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love, which is the historical fantasy romance that I just talked about. And then we have Problematic Summer Romance. Thank you to Times Reads for sending this copy over to me. I've been saving it to read it for this video. Also, we have Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. The cover is like an arc. Also, I've been saving it for this video. Very excited because I've heard many good things about this book in particular, and I'm quite interested in the other books that I'm reading as well. The book that I just finished is actually The Rule Book by Sarah Adams, and let's talk about it. So this one is the second book in the Cheat Sheet series. I read Cheat Sheet a long time ago, so I don't really remember, but basically I think if we follow like the characters in that friendship group, in that football NFL team, there are 5 of them in total. So in this book we follow Derek Pender, who is a tight end, and Nora Mackenzie. Our male and female main characters actually know each other back in college. So they were dating in college and then they broke up. Nora broke up with Derek like quite unexpectedly and quite coldly, and afterwards they reunite years later. So Nora is now a sports agent and Derek is of course the NFL tight end. Fate has it to bring them together because Nora will then be representing Derek as his agent. That was how it was pitched to him, but he didn't know that it was her because Nora Mackenzie goes by Mac in the industry, because apparently it's like a very misogynistic industry wherein people tend to treat you better if they think you are one of the guys. So Derek knew that his new agent was a relatively new person. He was going to be her first agent. He also knew that the agent in particular was a woman, but he was okay with it. He just didn't know that it was Nora in particular. So then when they first met, he was like, oh my god, no way in hell am I going to let you represent me because of the way that you just broke my trust and you just broke up with me that time. So then Nora begs for a chance and he's like, okay, sure. And ends up he's like, okay, I'm going to make your time hell so that you'll want to quit on your own. And he really like treats her like a personal assistant, in that you ask her to do errands like, I don't know, cook pasta for him, send his suits for dry cleaning and pick them up, fix his car, things like that, until they eventually talk it out over what happened. And then he was like apologizing for being an asshole. He understood the reason why she wanted to break up, but he still doesn't want her to be his agent because he hasn't gotten over her and he doesn't want to be near her if he can't be with her. But then the night that he was like, okay, I need to let you go, the next morning they wake up super hungover and realize that they got married to each other and posted about it on his Instagram. They got like matching tattoos of rings on their fingers or so. So then it will be like very, very like detrimental for Nora's career if they were to immediately get a divorce, because then it would be like a very big scandal and hoo-ha that it was a mistake lah. So then Derek was like, okay, how about we continue to stay married and pretend that it was real so that she won't get fired, and yeah, he's willing to do that for her. So then they spend like 1 week in Mexico, Cancun, wherein they have like a honeymoon. I think there's like a journalist who will be following them around and like taking pictures of the honeymoon and things like that. And apart from that, Derek's career is at like a very unstable point because he was still recovering from an ankle injury, and it was like in the off-season period where everything was happening. So in this period, a lot of things are up in the air, like whether or not he will be replaced by someone younger because he's also like nearing retirement age. Not like super old, but just in the world of sports, he's near the retirement age, and then things like that. So he's also struggling with self-doubt and what is he if he weren't playing as a tight end anymore, things like that. Yeah, so this book, right, I thought it was quite cute and it was quite an easy, quick read, but I personally don't like second chance, so the fact that I still managed to enjoy this somewhat is a very big bonus in and of itself. Even though like he was like making her life hell at the start for like 2 weeks, she could feel his sweet moments also. For example, where she was spending all her daytime like running errands for him, but she was also trying to be a good agent and doing all the what she's supposed to do work as an agent at night. So then like there was once she fell asleep at the table or reading emails, and then she woke up to find herself on the sofa with blankets around her. Things like that. Or like even though like he makes her do a lot of errands, he makes sure that she eats well. So even though he was trying to be an asshole, he's still very sweet. Afterwards, when they finally like clear the air and everything, he's even sweeter in that sense. He's very, very much in love with her lah. And he comes to that realization a lot quickly than Nora, I would say. Nora spends a lot of the book like, oh my god, we have to be professional. He doesn't like me, he doesn't want to be friends with me, that kind of thing. Well, I would say that the miscommunication wasn't very annoying. I would say it still like irked me a little bit because of the fact that it is a misunderstanding or miscommunication. But the fact that I can picture this happening as a very like realistic way, because they didn't clear the air until like I think after the 2 weeks, because he was very hurt. And I think that's quite common for people in real life who have misunderstandings to like not want to clear the air or like just remain in this misunderstanding. On Nora's end, we also get a lot of insights about how it's like working as a female sports agent and in the a look inside the industry also, which I thought was quite interesting. I don't think it's a book that I'll particularly shout on the rooftops over, but it was a cute story, so I decided to give it 3.25 stars. And I forgot to talk about trigger warning: sexual content, misogyny, sexism, cursing, blood, alcohol, pregnancy, injury, detail, sexual harassment. And I also really love that Derek was like being an asshole and pushing his friends away, but his friends were always there for him. His friends, together with Nora, helped him to like get back to the confident self he once was, because he had a lot of self-doubt, like, oh, are my friends not going to be my friends anymore if I get replaced, so maybe I should like distance myself from them so I will be less hurt. I shouldn't like get all these endorsement deals to look like I'm trying so much, only for me to realize right before the season starts that I'm going to be replaced, things like that, and then I'll just look like a joke. These statements all get like soothed or like debated. They prove him wrong lah, basically. So yeah, very cute. That's all I'm gonna say for this book. Not my favorite Sarah Adams, but not my least favorite either. So that's where I'm starting off this video with, and I'll come back to you when I finish reading my next book. Okay, hi, I'm back. Same day that I filmed the intro clip. Not because I finished another book already, but because I decided to DNF this particular book. And that book is The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. So this is like a fantasy, romance, historical fiction. And it's basically about birds. Our female main character is Beth Pickering, who is a professor. The male main character is Professor Devon Lockley. They first get a proper interaction when Devon steals the rare death whistler bird that Beth was in the midst of capturing. And then afterwards, there is this competition to become Birder of the Year. They are forced to team up. But I think I kind of got to the part where they are trying to see whether there's a possibility, or like they're almost trying to like partner up with each other. But I was so bored. I was so sleepy reading this. Like that's how far I got into the book. Like 72 pages. And then I don't think I'll give this book any higher than a 3, so I don't really want to waste time also. The writing style was also a bit like, I think it's trying to be funny, but I didn't find anything funny. I was just like so bored. So yeah, I'm just gonna stop here. Yeah, that's all. I'll come back to you when I have more updates for my next book. Hi! So I was planning to do my skincare with me while I talk to you about the book that I just finished, but I was so distracted by the show that I was watching that I was like, I forgot to do it. I'm just left with one last step, which is my eye cream. First look at my eye bags. But yeah, I'm just gonna do that and tell you about the book that I just finished. So the book in question was, I think it's called Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter. It is one of Lynn Painter's adult works. So the story is basically a very Cinderella kind of story, in that our female main character is, do they call them, I guess, maids or like house cleaners or housekeepers? She was basically cleaning this person's house, her client's house, and then she was actually kind of like staying at the person's house because her own apartment was infested with rats and she had nowhere to go, and she figured that, oh, this client is like out of town, so let me just like stay here. And she was like baking muffins and like living in the bedroom and everything, but she was going to make sure before she left that everything would be clean, but she got caught by the client's parents. And then they seemed to know her, like she introduced herself as Abby, and then they were like, oh, so you're the Abby that we've been hearing about. And then turns out the main character, who is the client, he made up an imaginary girlfriend to make himself seem more trustworthy and stable, because he's like this businessman who is like a big shot. Like he worked his way up, but he needed to seem like he had a stable relationship so that he would look better in the eyes of the investors or something like that. It just so happened that the imaginary girlfriend's name was Abby as well. I think Abby Green or something like that. So that's how the misunderstanding kind of happened. And then when the parents went to tell him like, oh, we finally met Abby, but she didn't know that we were coming, he was like, who? What? Where? And he went to find out, right? So he went to confront her at her other job, which was she's a cashier at a supermarket called Benny's. So then he was like, how dare you trespass my home? I'm gonna sue you and everything like that. I think she gave him attitude. Like, I was like, oh, that's questionable that she is clearly in the wrong, but she's like giving him attitude. I don't really remember the front part already, but yeah, so then afterwards he was like, okay, how about, since the people on my side believe that you are my girlfriend, how about we have a deal? So I will pay you, or like strike a deal with you so that you will agree to be my fake girlfriend for this like week, I think. Weekend, because he has this shareholder thing going on. He wants to bring the girlfriend there and be like, oh, hi everybody, this is my girlfriend that I've been talking about. Yeah, to just like, since things are going to plan already, she strikes a deal with him to do that in exchange for 1 week to stay at his place while he stays at a hotel, and also I think $40,000. I don't remember why there were two rewards. I think maybe it was like an extension, or maybe Abby is just a very great negotiator. But anyway, so she ends up doing that. They had kind of a misunderstanding. So she needed the 40k to pay off her student loans, but he just thought that this is like some freaking girl who wants to have some amount of money to go shopping and things like that. So their attitude towards each other at the start is like very off. She thinks he's like a rich guy who clearly doesn't know what it's like for the poor, things like that. He thinks she's just someone who is very careless with her money or something like that. I don't really remember. But then as they start to fake date, that's where their relationship develops. And I gave it 2.75 stars because I felt like I wasn't very drawn in by the characters. I was just like, oh, this is a very like Cinderella cliche story that I don't really feel any butterflies for. So it's like, not really hitting for me. And then also, I was just like, it's so cliche. I was quite uncomfortable with the fact that they were just falling for each other very quickly, even though when they confessed to each other, this spoilers already, yeah. Basically, like through that weekend, they were enamored with each other. I guess it's lust, and also in each other's words, like they get to know their character and then they start to fall. But I just feel like it's too fast. And then there was this whole scene where he was like saying that, yeah, sure, like that girl that I was pretending to be my girlfriend, I know that isn't real, but I fell for the person who... Okay, let me give you trigger warnings first. Trigger warnings for sexual content, cursing, classism, medical content, abandonment, toxic relationship, death of parent, alcohol, and misogyny. I liked that version of you, but that's not who I'm in love with. I'm in love with the girl who buys stupid t-shirts because they're a good deal, whose hair sticks straight up in the morning when she runs around in pajamas with her own face on them, and the idiot who risks her fucking life to run in a 5k because she made a commitment. The things that he listed were like, I need a little bit more than that, you know, for me to feel like, oh, they really do love each other more than surface level things. I feel like it's just too fast. The relationship progressed too fast. Very cliche, very minorly surprised at one point. Very, very mildly surprised. But everything else was just like, oh, okay, I don't think I'll remember this story in particular. I think it's just an okay story. So definitely not one of my favorite romances. Yeah, is what I'm trying to say. So yes, that's that. I have since started reading The Bridge Kingdom. Wanted to replace the romantasy that I didn't have for another romantasy. This one, I am seeing more potential out of. Like, I'm very early on. I think I am 40 pages in. Ignore the bookmark because I forgot to change my page. 40 pages in out of 300 something. And this one is more, I think I can vibe with, because she is this princess of, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, starting with M, okay, of this kingdom, I believe. And then she is one of the many daughters of this king. And the king receives this like invitation from this other kingdom wherein they need to fulfill this 15-year treaty to have a marriage alliance between them. So then they can like have access to, I don't remember the logistics of it, but basically it'll help the kingdom, like they can negotiate on some things. And so she was sent at age 5 to like train with all her other sisters on how to be an assassin and things like that, how to survive. Many lessons were taught. And then it was at the final dinner, the person that the father chose to be the princess, to be wed to this main character, was already decided. It was at the dinner where they were going to see what happens to the others that weren't chosen. The result was that all of them died, but not by the plan of the father. So our female main character wasn't the chosen female. She poisoned everybody's soup or spoon, and then everyone supposedly died. So then she was be the only one remaining to be that particular princess to be wed. And so she gets brought over to the other person's kingdom. They just met. So that's where I'm at. But I can already feel the potential sparks because she is like trying to be like this very innocent girl. Like, oh my god, what's happening to me? When in reality, she's like on a mission to get his secrets, seduce him, progress, get his secrets so that their kingdom can like win and their people won't starve anymore. And he, on the other hand, he thinks she's like the very innocent girl, but he still doesn't trust her yet lah. But he also doesn't believe that they will fall in love because he needs the queen to be like this. Ifikana needed a queen who was a warrior, a woman who would fight to the death for her people, a woman who was cunning and ruthless, not because she wanted to be, but because the country needed her to be. A woman who would challenge him every day for the rest of his life, a woman Ifikana would respect. And there was one thing he was certain, Lara Valiant was not that woman. But I think she is. So very excited to see how these things go, and I really hope that I will enjoy this more than the previous books that I've been reading, basically. So I will get back to you when I have started or when I have progressed further into this book. Yes. Hi, I'm back because I have since finished Witch Kingdom, this book over here, and if you couldn't tell, but I think it's quite obvious, I dyed my hair. I feel like last year, for the Valentine's Day video, I also dyed my hair. It happened while I was filming that video, so yeah, I chopped off my hair and I also dyed it like a pinkish red, but to me it just looks very red. Yeah, but okay, anyway, I finished Witch Kingdom and trigger warnings for violence, war, death, sexual content, murder, injury detail, death of parent, blood and vomit. I already told you the main gist of this story in my previous clip, but upon finishing it, I decided to give it 4 stars because I enjoyed the push and pull between the female and male main character, and I was still hooked onto the story, so I kept finding myself wanting to go back and continue reading the story. However, it wasn't very original. I could predict where everything was going. There weren't any like plot twists that I was like, okay, this kind of surprised me. So I could fully predict where this was going, and because of that, I couldn't give it the full 5. I also couldn't really like say that I'm very intrigued and enamored by the characters in this because yes, we did spend some time between them not trusting each other to then trusting each other and loving each other. The happenings at the end of the book are like leading up to the next few books in the series, but it was very filled by lust at the start, and all along Aaron was just like a very nice guy. He was very attracted by her, but he also couldn't find himself able to trust her, things like that. I would have enjoyed a bit more like enemies to lovers in that sense, since their kingdoms are both enemies, right? But I guess he's like the very good guy that can see the beauty and like see past their enemy ties and trying to build a better world for everyone, things like that, blah blah blah. But yeah, okay, I will be reading the next few, at least one book in this series, but if I don't like it afterwards, I think I might have to stop. Maybe I'll give this series like 2 more tries, which is the Traitor Queen and I guess the Inadequate Heir, I don't know. But yeah, so that's all for this story. I have since moved on to my next book, but I'm too lazy to take it out from behind you, so I should just leave it for my next clip where I come on and talk about it. So yeah, hi, I'm back because I have more updates on the books that I've been reading. I actually finished 1 book, but I just DNF'd another. So let's talk about the DNF first. I DNF'd Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and I'm very sad because I've been hunting down this book in the library for the longest time, and then I think I got about 40 pages in, and I was just very turned off by the writing that is very young and very juvenile. And I know this is a YA, but it's definitely not the book's fault for being very young and juvenile when it is meant to be written for YA, right? I think maybe my prefrontal cortex or prefrontal lobe or whatever just developed and I just cannot read YA anymore. I'm not too sure because I've read other YA books before and I really enjoyed them, like better than the movies, things like that. So this just didn't work out for me. We were following our main characters, Rowan and Neil, who were rivals in high school, and apparently this whole book takes place in 24 hours on their last day of high school. And I don't know, like, why is it so thick for something that's happening in the span of a day? So I really couldn't stand the writing, and I was very sad because this book is very hyped and the Goodreads rating is very good as well. Maybe I should have read it when I was younger, but yeah, unfortunately I will not be finishing this. Okay, basically I jumped onto this book instead of Rose in Chains because I was like a little bit into it, and then I don't think I can finish it before Valentine's Day. So I was like, okay, I think a contemporary romance will be a faster read, but I couldn't get into it. So I'm back to reading that. Okay, so that's for that book. And the book that I recently finished was Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. I knew nothing before going into this until I started reading it. Then I realized that this is an age gap romance. We follow the side characters from the Not in Love book. So this is like the sequel companion novel. In Not in Love, we follow Eli Kilgore and Rue, I don't know her last name. So in this book, they are getting married, and Eli's sister Maya is 23 and she is in love with or like has a crush on Eli's best friend, who is Connor Harkness, who is 38. So this age gap gets mentioned throughout the whole book, but basically Eli and Rue are getting married and they are there for the wedding. It's a destination wedding at Taormina. She and Connor end up stuck together in this romantic Sicilian villa for over a week. And it's quite funny because like apart from the romance, right, you get to see like parts of their wedding that's happening. For some reason, like the wedding seems to be cursed because so many things happen. Like they all got like food poisoning. One of the wedding party people, they bought this shady like wine or something from a market, and everyone except for like the two of them and I think one other person didn't drink from it, and in the end they all got food poisoning. Another thing was one of the wedding party members, who was also Connor's ex, almost drowned by the beach. And I think the next one was that one of the mountains there erupted. Apparently it's a very normal thing for the locals there, but for them they're like all freaking out and everything, and flights don't really seem to want to come over, and so more wedding party people couldn't come over. And it's like, oh my god, what's happening with the wedding, right? Throughout all of that, Maya and Connor are like dancing around each other. They're still interacting with each other, but also trying to navigate the fact that they have a history together. Nothing really happened, but it ended off with them not speaking to each other for 10 months. And then it is also in dual POV, so the chapters flash back and forth as to what happened between them 3 years ago. And then it recounts all the way until the 10-month mark, wherein something happens such that they don't talk to each other. And you can feel the tension and everything. And it's like, I feel like I might like this more than I did with Deep End, which I think the rating reflected accurately because I think I gave that book 4 stars and I gave this one, I'm going to pause and talk about trigger warnings first. Trigger warnings for sexual content, death of parents, vomit, alcohol, grief, infidelity, pregnancy, and drug use. I gave this book 4.25 stars, which is higher than what I gave Deep End, which was 4 stars. Oh, also there's like a cameo in this from another series of Ali Hazelwood. I don't really know if I should spoil it, but you can look forward to that. Yeah, I was very surprised because I was expecting to not like this as much for some reason. I think I didn't really hear like very good things about this, and also because it's age gap, right? So when I started reading it, I was like, I can't say that I hate it. So it's like, like the tension was, oh my god. And the things that he says and he does for her were quite cute also. I was quite frustrated with the fact that they kept going on and on about the age gap. He keeps being the one that's like, you are too young for me. I cannot enter a relationship with you because then I'll be holding a position of power. You're too young to know what you really want. You should be dating guys of your own age. And that is fair. That is very fair. And that is what a logically realistic man should do when they are in this situation. But then he also spends the rest of this time with her in that wedding destination, being very upset or like jealous that she is flirting with other guys. He's like, he has problems with every guy that sort of interacts with her, and he's like, every guy's into you, you cannot be into them, that kind of thing. And I was just like, you don't want to be with her because of this age gap, but then you are also like stopping her from possibly having a chance with anybody else, which is like, why? I mean, we all know why, but still. And she spends most of the book pining over him and trying to convince him that they are going to be very good together. It's like this push and pull. Very, very steamy as well. I was like, damn, could this possibly be more steamy than Deep End? And I couldn't stop reading this. Like, every time I was like doing something, I was like, okay, when am I going to be next able to continue reading my book, you know? Apart from that, he is quite like there's a lot of romantic interests. His ex was also at the wedding. The ex is the female that started working at the company. I think they were together at the company before they broke up. And then also one of the characters from Not in Love, Minami, who is one of the founding members, together with Connor and Eli and another person I believe, also had a thing with Connor. So they were like in a very long-term relationship for I think maybe 10 years. Before then they broke up as he asked her to marry him. And also another potential love interest was at the wedding as well, called Tamrin, and I don't really want to spoil what happens with that, but yeah, he's like so many things going on with him, but he seems to be only obsessed with her, but he doesn't show it. He's very much trying to control himself. It's not a favorite, it's not, but I did enjoy my time reading this, and I don't know how I would react if this really happened in real life, because while this was like very steamy and everything, and I loved everything that was happening, I don't know how comfortable I would be with the fact that a 23-year-old is dating a 38-year-old. Because while she may be an adult, yes, and she is very clearly wants what's happening, they met when she was 20, and they had like okay, this spoilers already. They had this encounter together, and he was a very gentleman. He kind of knew about her growing up, but he didn't really pay much attention to her. It was only when they recently met when she was 20 that he was like, oh, okay, so you're growing up and becoming an adult woman, and then they started to become attracted to each other. But during the times from when she was 20 to 23, they spent the 3 years calling each other for hours and talking on the phone and things like that. She is still very much in her early 20s, so I don't know, because afterwards, okay, I'm gonna spoil everything. Afterwards, when they finally decide to get together, he immediately was like, he wants to marry her, but he doesn't want to rush things. So then he was like, I'm willing to take however long, whatever I can get. He doesn't even want to call it dating because he wanted to marry her, right? So he just went on like that until I think in the epilogue he proposed at I don't know what age. He did say that it can just be a promise to her that he's always a yes, and she don't need to say yes now, but he did say yes. And I was like, damn, that's really, really very young. I don't know. He has grey hair because he's 38. Yeah, I really don't know, but I really enjoyed the story. So I'm very conflicted, you know. He also has like done a lot of things for her without her knowledge, which is like, yes, we like that acts of service guy, and no matter how busy he gets, or he got in between the 3 years, every time she called or texted, he always picked up, even when he was sleeping, because he had like on his list of contacts, she had an emergency bypass. So even when his phone is silent, whenever she texts or calls him, he will hear it and he'll pick it up. Which is like, we love a man who prioritizes his girl, you know. The STEM part in this wasn't as front and center. Like, yes, she is a physics student, I think. She is very smart and has many things going for her. He is the successful biotech founder of a company, but this book didn't really go in depth compared to the other books about the science and everything, which I'm okay with. I did enjoy it, 4.25 stars. So yeah, okay, I'm glad that we have a high rating for this video. It feels like I shouldn't like this, but I did. It's like I'm so conflicted, but anyway, I have started reading Rules and Chains. As I mentioned, I'm still very early on in the story. I need to finish this video before Valentine's Day, so I need to go read now, okay? Bye. I don't know why I think it's a good idea to wear my lip tints at home that I don't dare to wear outside and immortalize it in a video that is forever on YouTube, but here we are. It's so dark. Oh my god. yeah, this color is definitely not for me, but it's okay. Yes, I'm here to close out the video because I did the impossible, guys. I finished Rose in Chains by Julie Soto, and oh my god. You know how I did it? I just read the whole day, the whole of Saturday. I think yesterday I showed you I was like around somewhere here, right? Oh, please ignore my bookmark. I finished it already. I read the rest in one day. So definitely not as fast as I know some people can read a book in one sitting. This was definitely not in one sitting, but it was in one day. And I can definitely understand the hype. So I'm very excited for the sequel to come out. Apparently it's coming out December of this year, which is like, we're only in February. Oh my god. But yeah, I definitely can see a bit of the fact that it's a Hermione and Draco fanfiction. So yeah. But I would say that if I didn't know about it, I wouldn't have really thought too much about it, other than the fact that our male main character, who is Tovan, has grey silver hair, which is like Draco, and our female main character, who is Bryony, I don't really know how to pronounce her name, she is very smart, and it's kind of like academia. They did show them in school together. So I believe, did I share with you the plot of this story? I don't think I did. So basically, in this world, we have Evermore and Bomadi. Or is it called Bomad? I think it's Bomad. And then there are people are called Bomadi. And the people of Evermore are called Eversun. We start off with finding out that Bryony is the princess of Evermore. She has a twin brother called Rory. So Bryony Rosewood and Rory Rosewood, I think. So they are part of the Rosewood bloodline, wherein there is magic in this world. So their magic is making use of mind magic, which is like a thread behind their eyes. Whereas those in Bomad, they use heart magic. We find out that Rory dies in I think he went out to battle and he didn't make it back. So Rory was said to be like fulfilling this prophecy that was prophesied by the seers of the past, wherein the prophecy was something like, when the sun shines at night, he who will bring an end to war on this land shall be victorious. He shall be an heir twice over and a rightful sovereign over the continent. For some reason that I cannot remember at this time, Rory fit the description. So Bryony kept telling him like, it's definitely you. You are the prophesized heir. Whatever you do, you will win. So like, don't need to worry too much. So even when they were like parting, because Bryony was staying back at the palace, I believe, she was like, we don't need to say goodbye because you're just going and coming back. And then end up he died. He died, and then Bomadi were attacking, I believe. And so she and her best friend, who is also Rory's love interest, was trying to flee the palace. But end up they were captured by the Bomadi, who captured all these Eversun women and chained them up. So they have chains around their necks and things like that. What happens is afterwards they get auctioned off. Because, as I mentioned, everyone has magic, right? So they are being auctioned off to become heartsprings. So they are like slaves to the Bomadi and whoever wins them from the auction. And so they get like tattoos of whoever bought them on their arm, and they have to give them their magic, I think, to like boost their owner's magic power or something like that. It's said that you bond through having sex. And afterwards, there's also this thing called sacral magic. Okay, I think Heartspring is like you don't... I don't really remember the mechanics of it, but I think Heartspring is like you don't really need to have sex. It's more of sacral magic, which is the one where you have to have sex for the bond and the power to search more. It's like a bit confusing because we keep going back and forth in time to when our female main character Bryony was still in school with Rory and things like that. And then when they were schooling, they would go on like exchanges with the Bomadi and Evermore Academy. So 1 year would be in Bomadi, 1 year would be in Evermore. Our main character Tovan is from Bomad, and it shows them like interacting with each other during their schooling days and how they are like enemies, basically rivals in school, because he likes to get under her skin, or he's always watching her and he's always trying to best him, vice versa, things like that. So they have this tension already, and I think Bryony had some feelings for him in the past when they were in school. And then also because she's very, very smart, just that because she's smarter than her brother, but in Evermore, they are more misogynistic in that only males can be the ruling party, and so she has been asked multiple times by their father to tone herself down at school and like help her brother succeed and be like the top person. So she has been helping him with his theoretical lessons and also helping him with his practical lessons. Theoretical, he knows that she's helping him, but practical, I don't think he knows. Okay, so back to the present day. So she's being auctioned off, right? She then gets auctioned off to, eventually it's Toven. I'm like skipping some details, but eventually it's Toven. And so they spend the rest of the book in this like relationship wherein she is trying to plan revenge, kind of, or like try to free herself from this master servant thing, and also trying to free the people of her kingdom, because her kingdom was like mostly destroyed except for, I think, one or two people that managed to escape. So they're trying to quietly plot the rebellion. She's also trying to get in touch with her friends from last time, also navigating this new world wherein she is Toven's slave. And the sexual tension, oh my god, it's very slow burn, okay? But the sexual tension is amazing. I kept like wanting to read. I liked their present day chapters more, wherein they're like navigating this relationship and the tension slowly increases. There are some scenes that are quite a bit explicit also. I didn't expect myself to love this as much as I did, but I did. So let me talk about trigger warnings. I would say that this book is quite amazing for making me be able to finish it in a day. Like, I really thought I wouldn't be able to because it's so thick. It's like 400 something pages and it's like, damn. But I am very excited to read the next installment in the series. So trigger warnings for slavery, sexual assault, violence, rape, sexual violence, war, abortion, death of parent, and pregnancy. So apart from the sexual tension, there's quite a lot of mentions of explicit scenes, either via rape or like sexual assault or abortion. Yeah, it's a bit graphic, but I really enjoyed it and I can't wait to see what happens next. I took a little while to get into it, so like this part I was just like quite bored, but then afterwards it like flew and I was like, yes, I'm enjoying this. Overall, I gave this 4.5 stars, so I think it's a good place to stop at because I also need to edit this video so that it's out by Valentine's Day. Highly recommend. I believe this will be one of my favorites this year. Yeah, I really didn't expect a Hermione fanfiction book to be one of my favorites this year. Like, I don't think it's super obvious, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. That's all I have to say actually. I'm glad that the trend of the books that I've been reading has been on an increasing trend in terms of my enjoyment. And yeah, like, happy Valentine's Day. Let me know if you have any romance book recommendations for me because I always love reading romance. As of this year, I think I've only exclusively read romance except for maybe one book so far. So it's like, yeah. So if you enjoyed this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel to see more of such content. I hope you're having a great day or a great week wherever you're watching. Remember to stay hydrated and I'll see you in my next video.